Hey guys, I'm back, and with me another speed art, and I just watched about 20 different horror doll movies to create my latest animation, which you should all check out. I think YouTube is somewhat suppressing it or something, so any love that I can get for that video, I'll take. With that said, I want to let you know what I think are the 5 best horror doll movies, so without any further jibber jabber, let's just jump into it. Now in 5th is M3GAN, the latest doll to appear in my animation, and it's sorta a banger. Now it's not going to win any awards in the script department, but the direction is good, the effects look good, and the action scenes are well done. It also has some more comedic take on the material than a lot of the other horror doll movies, so that was somewhat refreshing for this type of movie. But what really elevates this movie is the doll herself. Even though she's AI, she still has quite a bit of personality. I think she could really lead a new franchise, and they've already announced a second movie coming out in like 2 years, so I guess she will be leading a new franchise. In 4th is Dolly Dearest, which I think is kind of a disliked or made fun of movie, but as far as I'm concerned, it's super underrated. For a straight to VHS movie, the effects look great. The acting chops in here are really good too, with Rip Torn in a supporting role, and the mother from Pet Sematary playing a mother here as well. Ed Gale, who portrayed Chucky in the first film, does the same for this film too in faraway shots. Now, it doesn't all hold up, the pacing is a little clunky, and the kid actors are hit and miss, but for my money, this is a fun throwback movie, which is clearly trying to hit the same crowd as Child's Play movies, and for the most part, I think it works. In 3rd is the anthology movie Trilogy of Terror, starring the great Karen Black in a multitude of roles from 3 different stories. The final story is the one that features the iconic Zuni Hunter doll, and I think it still holds up like nearly 50 years later. While the doll itself is African in appearance, I guess Zuni warriors were actually Aboriginal, but with that aside, this segment works really well, especially when you consider it's a bottle segment taking place inside of an apartment room. Because it's only 30 minutes long, it feels sort of like a precursor of something like Tales from the Crypt, and it doesn't outstay its welcome. If you like the first one, there is a sequel segment to this in Trilogy of Terror 2, which I think is almost as good, but I have to give it up to the original. In 2nd is the first Child's Play movie. Probably to no one's surprise, the original Child's Play is one of the best killer doll movies of all time. While I personally find the second one more entertaining, I think there's something special about how this one was put together. The effects work, the acting, and the general story are much better than your typical slasher films from this same era, and this film created an icon of horror. Chucky is one of the most recognizable characters in history, and he became an icon with the release of this first film. Even if no other sequels were released, I feel like people would still be talking about this film as one of the best slasher films of the late 80s. So of course, this one has to be on my list somewhere, and obviously if you like the first one, definitely check out all the other sequels like Child's Play 2, and I've even come around a little bit on Child's Play 3 recently. I think Bride is really good. Seed, I think, is still not great. Curse of Chucky, I think, is pretty good for the newer movies. And Cult, I think, is a little clunky, but I think it still works. The TV series itself, I've only watched the first season. Sorry guys, I've only watched the first season, I know. But I like the first season. I'm not sure why people are kind of hating on it. I'm not sure if that's the hate from the second season. I haven't watched it yet. And even the remake, I think, is fun, but you know, it's not as good as the original series as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, but of course 1988's Child's Play has to make this list. That's why it's number 2. But coming at number 1 is my favorite horror doll movie, Magic from 1978, starring a somewhat young Anthony Hopkins. Directed by Oscar-winning director Richard Attenborough, music by Jerry Goldsmith, who himself has so many awards under his belt. The way this movie is set up and paced is so refreshing, especially after my last video where I was watching the Ant-Man movies, which are fine enough popcorn films, but Magic really feels like something special. The scenes are tight and filled with suspense, but the movie has breathing room to let you live in the moment and enjoy things for a little while. It also has a scene right in the middle of the movie, which involves 2 characters not talking. That is probably one of the most tense scenes I've ever watched. If you haven't seen Magic, do yourself a favor and check it out. I believe it's on Tubi now for free. I would definitely watch it, and also go check out the top 10 killer dolls video that I did, or top 10 horror dolls video. It's probably one of my favorites that I've done, and I consider it part of the Tiny Terrors quadrilogy that I have on my channel right now, which would involve Chucky, Leprechaun, Gremlins, and now this top 10 dolls video. I think you guys will dig it, and I think you guys will dig the movie Magic if you want to check that out. And before I sign off, I want to thank LWMS for supporting the Patreon recently, as well as all my other supporters. And until next time, I've been Aaron, and I'll tell you something later.